The thought that I have that it's me thinking that's distracting me is keeping me from seeing that thinking is distracting me.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
The thought that I have that it's me thinking that's keeping me thinking, which is distracting me,
Yeah.
is what's distracting me.
Yes.
Because me thinking is the identification with the thought activity. The thought activity in itself has no ability to cause anything. It's like if you look at something written on a piece of paper, does that which is written on a piece of paper have the ability to cause anything? Well, it's that thinking is no different than the text on the paper, isn't it? Thinking is no different than the text on the paper. It is a thought. It is language. It is saying something, right? Does that in and of itself have the ability to determine the quality of anything? No, it doesn't. This is the thing, right? This is the thing. It doesn't have the ability to determine the quality of anything unless you identify with it. And when you identify with it, it's not just a thought, it's my thought. It's not just a thought, it's me thinking. And once it's me thinking, you're done. You're done because why? Because if it's me thinking, I am identifying myself as the thinker of the thoughts. And that self that I identify myself as, that is thinking the thoughts, is a self that my programming is running to maintain its existence and to have it survive. Is it not? Yeah, isn't the voice in your head operating with a fundamental program to have who you think you are exist and survive? And any thought that you think is an extension of that entity, is it not? Any thought that you think is an expression of that self, is it not? And therefore, if the thought isn't right, if the thought isn't true, you see what happens to its source? Because you're identified with your thinking. So you're going to protect your thinking, like you're going to protect your body. You identify with your body, you're going to protect your body. You identify with your car, you're going to protect your car, right? I go through a whole day and I don't remember to pay attention, to the truth, right? I don't pay attention to the awareness that I am. And in spite of the fact that this distraction that goes on and the fact that I don't pay attention to the truth, to this awareness that I am, I don't pay attention to the reality of what's happening. I stay in the dream. I stay in the thinking of the whole thing. Okay. Suppose somebody said to you, starting tomorrow, if you text me every 5 minutes and tell me I'm paying attention right now and I notice that I am aware. If you do that every 5 minutes, right? I'll put $5,000 in your checking account. Oh no, but here's the best part. You can do this while you're doing everything else. I didn't tell you stop doing anything else and just do this, did I? It's not my type A personality. You don't have a personality. Your personality has you. Well, if it was a matter of life and death, do you think you could do it?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah, well, it is. It is. That's the thing, you see, because people are living in this delusion. People are living in this idea about things that is unrealistic and untrue about what's happening here, What's happening here is that human beings are wasting energy, wasting time, going around in circles. That's what they mean by neural patterns. That's what they mean by this. Wasting energy and wasting time going around in circles, repeating the same behaviors again and again, changing details with the idea that, oh, this time this is going to work. But it's just a repeat. It's just recycling the same stuff. It's like geo, what's that old saying, and when computers were still a new phenomenon? Huh?
A do loop?
Oh, what?
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah,
What's it called? Oh, okay.
Garbage in, garbage out.
yeah. Yeah, the garbage in is called conditioning. The garbage out is called your life. It's not that you're not moving, it's that you're not meeting your own unrealistic expectations. Right? Try that on. It's not that you're not moving, it's that you're not meeting your own unrealistic expectations. Are your expectations realistic? What are they? What do you expect? So this isn't it. So life is disappointing, isn't it? Because the mind and the personality will take the truth and turn it into shit. It'll turn it into this conceptual understanding about it, right? So if you say to me, well, isn't Zen, right, being completely lost in what you're doing? What I'm saying is that you're beginning to see, right, that you're beginning to see that the punching glove that keeps hitting you in the face is in your hand. Because that's what I was referring to when I said that what will happen is the brain and the person and the personality, especially if they have intelligence, which he does, right, will take this and turn it into something that fits what they already know, make it a conceptual reality that is the right answer to everything, right? But just to go back and replay what you said, right? See, the only way you're going to get anything out of these conversations is if you can have an interaction with somebody who is reflecting the truth back to you, and you can see that without protecting yourself or being concerned because it makes you look bad and wrong. Which means you have to, your ego cannot be enlightened. Your ego can't even hear this conversation, right? So if you say, doesn't Zen say, well, first of all, Zen, the word Zen means meditation. It doesn't mean anything but meditation. That's a literal translation of the word Zen. So when you say that, you're saying, doesn't meditation say? You see, already the concept's twisted. Zen is turned into a philosophy, right? Yeah, doesn't Zen say? That if you're totally immersed, right? No. What Zen doesn't say, Zen says meditate, and when you're meditating and your attention is on the breath and on the body, right? Doesn't matter whether you're immersed or you're not immersed in anything. What is being said in the practice of meditation is when the attention is on the breath, there is no one to be immersed or unimmersed in anything. When your attention is on the breath, is there anyone there to be immersed or not immersed in anything? The only problem is the experience doesn't match the concept. Because I say that when you're experiencing being aware of the breath in the body, all the rest of what you just said doesn't exist. When you are paying attention, when the attention is on the breath in the body, right? Is there a you paying attention? Okay, so would it then be safe to say that with that difference, that the possibility of experiencing what you are and what is true is completely different than it would be when you're thinking? And would it be safe to say that when that's the case, there's no suffering?
Yes.
I case my rest. Because isn't that why we're here? So the rest of it, see, I mean, one of the things that's important about this whole business is we want to be able to get down to the most simple, fundamental way to approach this to get what seems to be possible to occur. Yes? Yeah. And we don't have to reinvent that wheel. For thousands of years, people have been contemplating these things. Yes? Greek, right? Asian, anywhere in the world, if you study the history of any civilization, these issues have come up. How to deal with death, how to deal with, who we are, how to behave, all these things come up, right? And so what is the wheel that got invented that we don't have to invent? If you are saying to me that you recognize that in the course of of a regular day, right, that you get lost in thought, you get lost in identity, you get lost in, you know, the world and all that stuff that goes on, right? But nonetheless, you understand and appreciate this possibility, and you do want to experience being awake and alive and fulfilled and satisfied and happy, don't you? Yeah. So what's this? One of the most important aspects of the practice of meditation is not trying to meditate, is it not?
Oh, right.
Yeah. And what are we doing here? That's why it's called a practice, because you ain't very good at it, right? Because we're not very good at it. We're very good at thinking about it. Yeah, it's progress to continue to engage with a process that allows you to recognize over and over again that you're already where you're trying to go. Isn't it? Well, what that means that that your head is already in the lion's mouth. There's no other possible outcome here. Where are you going? What is the other possible outcome here that you would like us to entertain? See, I was talking to somebody about this earlier, and they said, and this is a good question. You know, he said, how do I know when I'm thinking or when the thoughts are just happening? Right? Good question, right? That's the kind of question I like, because the person's obviously engaged, right? And the answer to the question is, you're never thinking. You're never thinking. Thoughts just happen.
But you said there's like intentional or workable thoughts versus...
That's right. Thoughts just happen, and if you learn to pay attention, you can be the witness of the thoughts happening and choose the ones that are realistic and workable and functional and say, I'm thinking those thoughts. And the thoughts that arise because you're paying attention and you see these are crazy thoughts, these are not useful, they're not functional, they're not realistic, those aren't my thoughts. Those are the ones that are just happening. You don't think any thoughts. I'm just saying, you make that shit up.
You just said the workable thought. All right,
No, but the process of looking at thinking is the process in which when you look, you see some thoughts are workable thoughts, some thoughts are dysfunctional thoughts, right? And that's where the thinking mind and the working mind comes in, right? The thoughts that are functional and workable, right? That's the working mind. The thoughts that are not. Now here's the thing, here's the most important part before we leave. If you pay attention, you will see that the large majority of thoughts that arise are not working thoughts. You spend most of your energy on thoughts that have no function and no use other than to cause unnecessary suffering. Right? So if you pay attention that way to that, right? If you pay attention to those thoughts, right? You will stop entertaining them. You will stop being willing to consider them your thoughts. You will stop giving them energy. You will stop giving them your attention, right? And as you do that, when you're doing that, the best way to do that is to move your attention to the breath. This is a very important point that he's making. If you sit here and the one who's here listening to me speak is who you think you are, until you see that, you're not going anywhere. Until you see that.
So
And this
one is just to accept.
Oh, there is no one. You see, the thing is, you can keep saying that to a program, and the program's not going to get it, is it? That's what he was just saying. I can say that to you as a program, producing that thought that you're identified with forever, and you're never going to get it. You can't get it because you're thinking you're something you're not. And that which you think you are that you're not can't get it because it's not conscious. It's a program. Right?
Right.